Mr. Mishra sir has joined.
We can't see Pankaj ji.
अभी तो मेरी बात हुई, उन्होंने बोला मैंने कर लिया ज्वाइन. मैं उनको कॉल बैक करती हूँ, पता करती हूँ.
जी, Pavan Gupta ji has joined. And who is the host? I was there, but now I'm not the host. Bhaiya, can you please shift? Pavan Gupta ji.
Pavan Gupta.
In the attendees.
Yes.
He's one of our panelists. Maybe some more panelists, I suppose we have to check. They might be there in attendees.
We have Chandrasekhar ji, Mr. Pavan Gupta, Dr. Tarun Sharma, and Himanshu Dwivedi.
We are waiting for our panelists, but maybe it's time now, so. Ji, namaste, Pavan sir. Can you hear us, Pavan sir?
Pavan Gupta लिखा हुआ है. It's the wrong name. Actually, I'm Pankaj Kumar Mishra.
Okay. I'll just ask the tech team to help me.
I can rename, Didi. I can rename. Mr. Sir, please tell me name.
Rename करने का option है क्या? No.
I can do that, sir. I can.
Okay. Professor Dr. Pankaj Kumar Mishra, PK Mishra. Pankaj Kumar Mishra कर दीजिए आप, कोई बात नहीं.
जी. Maybe the link that you have received has got this name. That's why. This
चलिए कोई.
Somebody's link. जी.
इसी बहाने आपसे मुलाकात हो गई.
No, sir. It's a pleasure to be.
Right.
Presence over here. So
Sure.
maybe. Ji, Geeta Didi, let's formally start. Some other panelists will be soon joining. Ji.
Yes. So, namaste to all of you. A very warm welcome for the final session, the third session, panel discussion. I give my warm greetings to all the panelists, all the delegates, all the participants joining through the live stream, all volunteers, and everyone who has assembled for the final session, the final session of the workshop. So before we go into the nitty-gritties, I would like to share with all of you a brief summary of what happened yesterday, the discussion that we had yesterday. Very briefly, I'll take you through. So yesterday, the theme of the session was vision for addressing SDGs at the root level. So broadly, some of the points that emerge are: to establish a vision for human society, there is a need for clarity of human goals. It is also a prerequisite for achieving SDGs. The second important point that came up was need to prioritize the SDGs, because there was a question raised that which is the SDG that's important. So many of the panelists threw up some very important aspects, and so some of them we have put it together. The views included climate change, health, well-being, education, gender equality, poverty elevation, etc. In this sequence, I think the discussions were conducted. And the third important point that emerged of the discussion was responsible consumption and a decentralized rooted system is necessary for achieving SDGs. Because there was a question, what kind of a system is necessary for achieving SDGs? And this is what was the essence of discussion, that we need a decentralized rooted system for achieving. Then fourth important point was need to identify the interconnectedness in the SDGs and building awareness in the generations to develop a holistic view, which is critical for ensuring sustainability. So there are two ideas here, because everyone thought that all the SDGs are interconnected. So there's a need to look at the interconnectedness as well as develop this kind of a view generation after generation. That means the education system, it has to percolate down. The fifth and sixth are based on technology recommendations. There was a question how technology is going to help in the implementation. So technology advancements must focus on addressing the needs but not the greed. And that's so very important. Technology advancements must help and assist human beings and not aim at replacing the humans, because this is some urgent issue which every kind of address it. So this is how broadly the discussions went. So now with this summary of day 2, I would like to introduce the moderator for the session today, Dr. Vanchana Singh ji. Dr. Vanchana Singh ji, who has been just speaking to you for a while now. She is the member of NCC UHV AICT. And she's currently involved in UHV activities, nationwide activities. She's a PhD from IIT Delhi in condensed matter physics. She has published several research papers in high impact journals. For the past 18 years, she has been involved in teaching learning process. She has been very deeply involved with UHV activities for the past 7 years. And she has conducted many AICT-sponsored workshops for faculty members and students. So just now, Chandrasekhar sir said, and including me, many of us have attended Vanchana ji's sessions and benefited from the sessions. And she's a very active member of the UHV cell at IKTU Lucknow. With this, Dr. Vanchana Singh ji, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Geeta Didi. And today being the last day of this international conference for value education in higher education, we are towards this last set of panel discussion, and so many panelists have been part of this last discussion. What I could see is Rania ji is also there, and we are inviting Rania ji to the panel. We can see Pankaj Kumar Mishra ji also now there in the attendees. So I'm just putting all our panelists together. And before we formally start with our panel discussion, Geeta ji has just put up the summary of our discussions we had yesterday. And through these 3 days, we have been able to see how meaningfully we are able to start looking at addressing these SDGs at the root. In this process, we continue listening to our UHV perspective from our esteemed panelist, Dr. Gopal Babuji. So as we all know, he has been working consistently in this direction for sustainable development goals and integrating it with the UHV approach. So moving with Dr. Gopal Babuji, I would request Bhaiya to put up the UHV perspective and share it with all our panelists and attendees. Welcome, Bhaiya.
Thank you, Vanchana ji. Let me share my screen. Is it visible, Didi?
Ji Bhaiya, please go ahead.
Okay. So namaste everyone. Welcome to all in this panel discussion of implementation for achieving SDGs at the root level. So I am going to present UHP perspective on this implementation. So let's have a brief recap of previous 2 sessions. So we started with the worldview. We started that SDGs can be fulfilled through holistic worldview. And for holistic worldview, we need to have right understanding. We need to have ability to recognize relationships with other human beings. And we need to have to be clarity about our real needs with clear participation with larger order. So with this preparation, we can have a holistic worldview. And in this worldview, we discussed that human being is not body only. Human being is coexistence of consciousness and body. And we discussed happiness as an understanding of harmony at all levels of living, and prosperity as a feeling of having more than required physical facility. So basically, each one of us aspires for sustainability of happiness and prosperity. So fundamentally, we want sustainability of happiness and prosperity. And to ensure this happiness and prosperity in continuity, we need to have holistic worldview. So this we discussed in the first session. Then in continuation of that, we discussed vision for humane society. So we proposed that the goal for human is to ensure a humane society. And if we are working towards humane society, the SDGs goals will be followed naturally. So there is no need to make extra effort to ensure these SDGs. There is a need to have clarity of human goals. So we discussed these 5 goals to ensure humane society: right understanding, right feeling in every individual, health in every individual, prosperity in every family, fearlessness in society, mutual enrichment with natural environment. So if we are following these goals, if we are making effort towards these goals, then SDGs will be taken care of naturally. So with this, now we are going to discuss how to achieve these human goals. What is required at the level of implementation. So from UHP perspective, we are proposing this 8-dimension system through which we can actualize these humane goals to ensure a humane society. So this 8-dimension system consists of education, health, justice, production service, exchange distribution, right utilization, preservation, dimensions of service, administrative service, and social service. So if you see this 8-dimension system, the most important dimension is dimension of education, because education makes perspective, worldview. And once worldview is framed, we interact with this worldview with human being and rest of nature. So if we have a holistic worldview through education system, then we can see health in a holistic manner. So in holistic manner, we will be able to ensure mental health as well as physical health. With holistic perspective through education, we can recognize relationship with other human beings that can ensure justice within the society. With the holistic worldview through education system, we can sense our need. And with clarity of need, we can decide what to produce, how much to produce. And with this holistic worldview through education system, we can exchange our production to ensure fearlessness in the society. We can distribute the resources with the feeling of relationships. And with this holistic perspective through education, we can learn how to right utilize the resources available to us. And with this holistic perspective through education, we can learn preservation of natural resources. And we can do service to the society. Some services through the administrative and some through social service. So all these 8 dimensions are interconnected. We cannot deal any dimension in isolation. And all these dimensions are connected with our worldview. And this worldview is prepared through our education system. So you can see these all dimensions are interconnected through education. Now, if we want to achieve this humane society, so we need to work on this 8-dimension system. And as I discussed right now, that primary step is to move towards the holistic way of life, is to develop the right understanding among the human beings. So developing right understanding of interconnectedness, understanding of coexistence among human beings is very important. then we need to have commitment to live accordingly, and then to develop the requisite skill and knowledge systems to implement the right understanding in our real life. Thus, it calls for a change in the education system towards humanistic education. So if we ensure humanistic education, then this can ensure a holistic worldview. And through holistic worldview, we can understand a vision for such humanistic education, vision for a humane society. And in this manner, we can visualize a humanistic tradition that can be visualized in terms of 4 aspects. And these 4 aspects are humanistic education, human conduct, human constitution, and universal human order. So we can start with this human education. So we can ensure education that ensures the development of competence to live with definite human conduct. Because if you see this whole existence, the whole existence is running in a definite manner. Only human being has to be in definite manner. So through holistic worldview, through right kind of education system, we can ensure this definiteness in our students. With this kind of education, we can have people living with definite conduct, with humane conduct that ensures continuity of mutual happiness and prosperity. With this human conduct, we will be able to ensure human constitution, a constitution that will guide us to live a fulfilling life. And with this kind of constitution, we can ensure human order for generations. And in this human order, our generation will be getting human education that will ensure human conduct, that will be facilitated by human constitution. In this manner, we can go through 1 round, 2nd round, 3rd round, through this cyclic process. And soon we can achieve human tradition. So in humane tradition, there will be a provision of living a fulfilling life, to live a life in a sustainable manner for generations. With this, what kind of structure would be feasible, is required to ensure such kind of human tradition? So here, from UHP perspective, decentralized social systems can be feasible to achieve these SDGs and ultimately to achieve a humane society. So if you see the present social structures are economic centric, centralized social structure. But we can achieve these SDGs, we can achieve humane society through relationship centric, decentralized social structure. A structure where power are decentralized, resources allocations are decentralized, decisions are decentralized, and these decentralized coordination can go from block level to district level to state level to national level and up to global level. So this kind of structure will help us to reach to a humane society, and that will naturally ensure all SDGs. So with this structure and this through 8-dimension system, we can achieve a humane society, and in humane society, these SDGs will be taken care of naturally. So that's all from my side, Vanchana ji, the UHV perspective to achieve a society.
So really nice to hear this perspective, and all our panelists over here are able to get the UHV perspective, which is relationship centric, focusing on decentralization, working in coherence, starting from block level to district, state, and eventually nation and up to the world level, where we talk of world as a whole family. So with this, now I would like to introduce our esteemed panel. This is the concluding day. Starting from day 1 in this international conference, we talked about the need, then we moved ahead to talk about the vision, and today's focus is on implementation to address the SDGs at the root. So, putting forth the introduction, some of our panelists were there in our yesterday's discussion also. So, I'll introduce some of our new panelists over here, starting from uh, Pankaj Kumar Mishra ji, who is the Vice Chancellor, Pro Vice Chancellor at Future University Bareilly, advisor to NEP, working for Indian Knowledge System, outcome-based education, one of the resource person for Madan Mohan Malviya Mission for Teachers Training Program, a very distinguished academician, administrator, innovator, committed to learner-centric outcomes. We welcome you, sir, to this panel.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Along with us, we have Rania Lampoji from Greece. She joined us yesterday also, and we had a very fruitful discussion. She is a STM educator and committed to ensuring that education with a purpose reaches to all. Welcome, Rania ji. Along with Rania ji, we have Dr. Sudipta Day from Jadavpur University, and it gives me immense pleasure to share that Sudipta ji has been there in the panel for previous session also, and we feel happy to see him once again for the panel discussion putting forth his point. He is working for clean energy, a mechanical engineer working in the department as professor in Jadavpur University and a very committed academician. Welcome, sir. Ji. We have Dr. Murarilal Gaurji also with us, very enthusiastic. He's Vice Chancellor uh, at the C.V. Raman Global University, Vaishali, Bihar. And he introduced himself as a very new Vice Chancellor in the previous session and committed to bring changes in the current education system. So hearty welcome to you also, sir. And along with this, we have our guest from Nigeria, Dr. Fadare. Namaste, welcome. And she's a committed educator. I would request her also to give a brief intro of the kind of work she's doing. That would be really nice. If you can put forth that. Would you like to interact?
Oh, yes.
Ji, please, a brief intro from
Thank
your
you, Doc. Yes. My name is Dr. Fadari. I'm a seasoned educationist.
So, Farah, you're not visible. Kindly switch on your camera.
Hold on, please.
Your
Okay.
video is not visible.
Yes. Can you see me, please?
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. My name is Dr. Fadari. I'm a seasoned educationist. I'm the director of part-time studies for Dudua College of Professional Studies. I'm also a co-founder of Edbridge Global College, and I'm also involved with the humanitarian services. I'm a member of the Rotary International. I'm also an ambassador for peace of an International Association of World Peace Advocates. It's my pleasure to join the panel for this international conference. Thank you.
So I welcome you all. And now I wish to start with this panel discussion with the UHV perspective coming across to all of us and having constructive discussions over the last 2 days. We had 5 distinct sessions, 3 sessions going in the morning shift and 3 sessions going in the evening shift, especially for our abroad panelists so that they can conveniently join these sessions. So initially starting this discussion regarding implementation at the level of achieving these SDGs at the root, let me put forth this question to Rania ji. So, Rania ji, what kind of community structure would be helpful to ensure sustainable communities and sustainable consumption? especially with reference to SDG 11 and 12, that is sustainable cities and production, sustainable consumption.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Okay, creating a community structure for, especially for sustainable consumption, involves actually fostering a collective culture that promotes environmentally responsible behavior, resource efficiency, and equitable consumption practices. This structure should integrate the principles of social, economic, environmental sustainability, of course, at every level of the community, encouraging individuals, businesses, and local governments to adopt sustainable practices. So the goal here is to reduce the environmental footprint while ensuring that consumption patterns meet present and future needs in fair and just manner. So I think that how we can do the first through education and awareness programs. So environmental education means that communities must invest in environmental education programs that promote awareness of sustainable consumption. This could include workshops, could include seminars, campaigns that inform residents about issues such as waste reduction or energy conservation or water management and responsible consumption habits. Sustainability curriculum in schools, how to introduce sustainability topics into local school curricula in order to instill values of responsible consumption in young people. Hopefully in Greece, in my country, the last 2 years, environmental education has been integrated as thematic option, as optional discipline in the curriculum, but it's a great step for Greece. Actually, students can learn about the circular economy principles, the impact of consumer choices on the environment, alternative sustainable lifestyles. Public awareness campaigns are also important. We can use local media, we can use social platforms, community events to run campaigns that highlight the importance of reducing single-use plastics, for example, conserving water or choosing sustainable food options. And community-led initiatives, because this involves sustainable consumption networks to encourage the formation of local groups, networks that promote sustainable lifestyles. These networks could organize activities like, for example, clothing swaps, could be community gardens, that could be local farmers markets that emphasize reducing waste and supporting local production. Community-led initiatives include food cooperatives also, and community support agriculture. So establish cooperatives where community members can purchase food directly from local farmers, or reducing transportation emissions and supporting sustainable local agriculture. Of course, this entails circular economy practices, so waste reduction and recycling, set up community recycling programs, composting centers, initiatives to reduce household and business waste, repairs and reuse workshops, how to handle waste management. In schools already, there are many projects that have been implemented for waste management. And nowadays, we know how we can leverage technology, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, like computing, in order to implement better and more effectively waste management issues. And of course, on the level of policy governments work with local governments to create policies that promote sustainable consumption, such as banning, for example, single-use plastics, or offering incentives for using renewable energy, or creating sustainable urban planning strategies. Municipal governments can also adopt procurement policies that favor eco-friendly products and services, promote sustainable transportation through electric vehicles, for example, or zoning for sustainable businesses. So what is this? Actually encourage zoning regulations that support local eco-friendly businesses, such as could be zero waste stores, could be organic food markets, green energy providers, and give sustainability incentives, provide tax benefits, subsidize financial incentives. Because I want to say, for example, climate entrepreneurship is hostile, still unfriendly, at least in Europe. For young people who want to be climate entrepreneurs, unfortunately, the regulatory frameworks are very unfriendly. So this needs to change. We need to make climate entrepreneurship especially more attractive to young people. Thank you. I want to say more, but anyway. Okay, thank you.
You are talking of reducing the material footprint, working towards ensuring that the needs are just. You talked about circular economy, you talked about localization, local farmers, local agriculture, ensuring the business becomes more easy for young entrepreneurs. And all this is going to work with reference to SDG 11 and 12. Taking the discussion forward, let me put the same question to Dr. Sudipta Deji. What kind of community structures you think would be useful, helpful to ensure sustainable communities and sustainable consumptions, especially in reference to SDG 11 and 12? Sudipta ji.
Yeah, this is a nice forum to discuss all these issues, individual perceptions, etc. So, as I have mentioned in earlier session also, sustainable development is a concept like God. We all want to achieve it, but to what extent, that will depend on different constraints. And obviously, ignoring the local constraints, which are very severe, we cannot go for the entire world cannot move in the same path. For example, I just want to give you one example. I have few collaborations with the country in Norway, where their energy sector is more than 90% automatically carbon free. And on the other hand, they sell their oil, the largest oil producer in Europe, to sustain their economy. So interestingly, what I told that any effect has got certain side effects. So what Norway is not burning their oil in their own country, reaching their economy, but simultaneously they are contributing to carbon emission from other countries. So this is interestingly that as I am telling that the complex problem, if we try to solve, then we have to see that any particular sustainable development goal that is fulfilled must be, may create problem for other sustainable goals also. So coming to the next point, in my perception, the most difficult part, because 17 sustainable development goals has been defined by United Nations, maybe these are very much well thought of, but still it has been, concentrated, a complex problem is always should look into a simpler option, simpler way of looking into it. So we have finally converged into three pivotal points. One is the economic, another is the environmental, the third one is the social. And honestly speaking, the social issue is the most complex because there you can have the social motivation creation. And there are leaders over the ages, maybe religious leaders, maybe spiritual leaders, who could motivate the people towards that direction. Currently, the community is now expecting, or rather very much in need of those leaders who can understand the people in that towards that direction. But the challenge in all the countries is not the same, though the goal is same. So from that particular aspect, I can tell you just like physical hormones, they bring some good, some bad. Similarly, mental hormones, in my analogy, there are, and spirituality is the best possible hormone for mentality. So unless we can make the people spontaneously participate in the process of sustainability, it's very difficult to achieve that particular goal. And finally, what we do as engineers always prefer for going for modeling. Obviously, the most complicated part, as I have mentioned, is the social sustainability part. In energy, as my work, what we are trying to do, we have realized is developing this methodology is the job of the academicians. What we are trying to do for sustainable energy exploration, we have made a framework with my PhD students and trying to make in the way that all criteria will not be fully satisfied. That means this is a decision-making process rather than optimization of all the criteria. So what we will do, we are going through this multi-criteria decision-making tool in mathematics so that we can decide based on local constraint what should be the best optimum option in energy sector. So given to that particular perspective, we have to decide satisfying the local constraints, only our path will be decided for any given community. Same will not be there for each of the countries. Thank you.
Rightly remarked, Sudipta sir, that the problem is complex. There are huge complexities, and the modeling can only be with the local impacts coming into picture. You talked about economic, environmental, social complexities coming to these SDGs, and the integrated kind of relationship these SDGs have, where when we try to touch upon one without taking into account the other, we end up disturbing a lot of things. Rightly remarked. Further taking remarks in this direction with Dr. Pankaj Kumar Mishra ji. So, sir, would you like to reflect on the same question, that what kind of community structures would be really helpful to ensure sustainable communities and sustainable consumptions?
See, very important. Is it audible?
Ji, please go ahead, sir.
Very important, structures to attend and understand that how the community is farming. And since this UN has decided about the SDG, everybody is talking about the SDG goals and thinking about in that direction. But idea is what the youth exactly, if you talk, they are not aware much about the sustainable development goals. We allied groups are always talking about, but community will make not only by the academician, not only by the entire structure, entire community. If we talk about community, means everybody should be the part of that community. And you cannot go to the pan wala, rickshaw wala, and thela wala to help them understand what is SDG. So better idea is what, let's introduce this all into the curriculum. And if you go with the curriculum structure, students are not aware, students are not responsible. The level of patience got decreased like anything. Everybody is love to watch the reels in the mobile phone. Especially the youth are taking the mobile phones up to night 2 a.m. Right? But the level of patience got decreased in a way that they are not having the patience to watch the reels of 30 second also completely. They are swiping so fast. So in that way, if you want to connect them through, just giving the idea of sustainable development goals, 17 goals are this and that. So I'm happy that quality education has been taken, but you want my comment in the 11th number sustainable development goal that makes cities and humans settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. So in that direction, my personal comment is what that students should be aware, the faculty should be aware. More awareness programs like this could be in the direction. And I'm really happy with the organizer that last 3 days the marathon kind of meetings are going on. Many people are involving. Many people from this other part of the world is also participating. So this kind of events and activities are much required. And then, as the higher education leader, I can understand that involving the SDGs into the curriculum, again, not only just for the name and sake, kind of implementing in the syllabus should be there, but also some kind of workshop, cultural events, cultural exchange could be the idea to improve on this direction. And soon the world will be good with this directions. And I'm very happy that 11th number sustainable cities and communities has been chosen for the discussion of this panel. And it's really very serious problem because people wants to work with the AIs, but not ready to give chapatis to the beggars, to the poor. Kind of sentiments are completely going on. Kind of people are not much aware and much focus about the human values and that is again very challenging. That's from my side. Thank you, Vachana.
Nice that you rightly remarked the role of youth, which is very important because they are going to steer the wheel ahead. We are at the backstage now, especially you are highlighting the role of policymakers taking this discussion further because we are trying to get something concrete out of all these discussions. Let me put
Right.
forth this question to Dr. Gopal Babuji. What key actions you think should be prioritized to ensure the effective implementation of SDGs at the root level in communities?
Thank you, Vanchana ji. See, first we need to understand sustainability at fundamental level. Then we can discuss key actions, policies, etc. So if you see the whole nature, like for example, a tree, it is sustainable by itself. A tree grows, give many seeds. These seeds grow again into the form of tree. It is sustainable. River, mountain, everything is sustainable. Do we need to create sustainability? No. We need to understand how they are sustainable. And then we need to fix our actions into that sustainable system. What we are doing, one side we are becoming greedy, and we are thinking to use natural resources to fulfill my greed in a sustainable manner. That is contradictory. So nature is already sustainable. We need to study the functioning of nature, and we need to fit our action into that limitation of functions that nature is happening in nature. That we need to understand. And for that, we need to have a holistic perspective, a perspective where I can see my coexistence, my interconnectedness with whole nature. Till we are not clear about this understanding, we cannot ensure sustainability in our lifestyle. Second important point is this nature is self-sustainable. Now, if you see human, thoughts needs to be sustainable, feelings needs to be sustainable, our worldview needs to be sustainable. We are not working on that part. What we are working, we are trying to continue these natural resources up to the extent that I can use for my pleasures. So it is contradictory actions. So we need to understand the whole nature. Then the first key action in my perspective is to ensure this worldview, this interconnectedness at school level. Because these children are coming into the society and these are millions in numbers. So if we are not inculcating this kind of worldview, they will be living unsustainably. And generation to generation, we will be talking about sustainability in the same manner as we are talking today. Because it is a matter of worldview. Nature is already sustainable. We need to make aware students about the sustainable process that is already going on, that are inherent in nature, that we need to make awareness. What we are making awareness, we are making awareness of continuing the natural resources. So if you see the nature, there is a mutually fulfilling process, there is a cyclic process. Are we designing technology in such a manner? Are we designing course curriculum in such a manner that a student can realize this inherent sustainability? So this, we need to make effort at fundamental level. And through this education system, we can do this. Then we should work to holistic technology, a technology that should cater human effort, that should helpful to human, not to replace the human. So one side we are talking about sustainability, another side we are making a huge technology, giant technology that are replacing human being. So there are some contradictions in actions and in the worldview. So we are talking a lot about sustainability, but we are not talking about some fundamentals. So if you ask me to what are the key actions that should be prioritized, so from my point of view, first thing should be prioritized to give a right education to students. Second thing, we need to make people aware what is real happiness, what is prosperity. How can one sustain his or her happiness in continuity? This kind of education we need to give to our students. Then sustainability will follow naturally. That's from my side, Vanchanaji. Thank you.
Very nice that we are able to ask these basic questions, that do we really need to create sustainability or this is already there? Our role is to understand what sustainability is. Instead of just going for the buzzword, let's try to understand it at the root. So the holistic framework, the transformation of the worldview, which is right now absolutely materialistic, very rightly said. So a sustainable worldview is the need of the hour, and the key action needs to start from the process of education, so that the technology is to support human effort and not to somehow make the human effort absolutely redundant. So taking this discussion further, let me ask this to Dr. Fadare. What, according to you, is the key action that should be prioritized to ensure the effective implementation of SDG at the root level in communities?
Thank you. Thank you so much. First, I want to start with, we have 17 SDGs, but I will concentrate on the key ones, the ones I want to talk about. The goal of a SDG is 1, to eradicate poverty, no poverty, to bring about zero hunger, to bring about good health and well-being, to bring about quality education, to bring about gender equality. And the sixth one I want to talk about is peace, to ensure that there is sustainability, to ensure there is effective implementation. We need the key one I feel we need to focus on is peace. When there is no peace, there is war. We can't be talking about health. We can't be talking about food. We can't be talking about quality education because there is no enabling environment for us to tackle all these other challenges in the Sustainable Development Goal. However, I believe education is paramount. Like the last speaker spoke about, we ensuring sustainability. We ensuring that our system, our education system, equip the human race what we need to provide the knowledge base essential for people at all, stages of life. When we talk in terms of education, we need to look at all agents of education, basically both the formal and informal agents of education. When we tackle the Sustainable Development Goal, achieving these goals is subject to us addressing education at the basic level, where human beings form their character, form their personality. Looking at it, when we discover that at adult level, people find it difficult to unlearn and relearn, adopting different ideologies, they find it difficult. But when we look or we implement the Sustainable Development Goal from the education perspective by targeting at the grassroots level, by targeting and implementing curriculum at the pre-nursery level, primary level, secondary level to the tertiary level. During processes when people, form behavior, where behaviors can easily be modified, where perception can easily be influenced, I believe it is easier for us to have more impactful, influence on achieving the desired sustainable, SDG, and attaining the sustainable, the so-called, concept, as you call it, BOOS, word for, sustainability. Not only that, as an educationist, based on my field experience, I discovered that peace is key. Peace. In a community where there is war, people cannot focus on this, providing food for. That is where we see people are displaced. You see, you have to go to different, humanitarian camps to seek refuge. We can make a reference to the case of Ukraine, where there is no peace in any community. We cannot be talking of, satisfying, hunger. Right. People focusing on sustainable,
Very, very rightly, you're mentioning that basic education and peace is something which one can look forward to, and you're referring to education. So that is really nice. And taking this discussion further ahead with Dr. Murari Lakshmi.
Sustainability in terms of comes to hunger, maintaining it. We're talking in terms of good health and because there is no enabling environment where these things can be fostered, can be properly annexed for human, peace of mind, for human prosperity. So the bottom line is we are talking of holistic. We're talking in terms of a holistic human values. From the previous speaker I listened to, that was yesterday, he was talking of attaining peace.
True.
Inner peace. You can, when you are at peace, you begin to think of prosperity. Inner peace. It is the intrinsic, that reflects itself at the extrinsic level, that is the physical level. When you have inner peace from inside, it is from that level you begin to, transfer, this, what you feel inside, you begin to communicate it to outside, the outsiders. That brings us to the issue of leadership. Basically, people think about leadership as occupying a particular position.
Dr. Fadare,
leadership is not
I
all.
request you to be slightly precise so that
Hello?
I want you to be slightly precise.
Okay.
Ji.
Okay, thank you. Leadership is not all about occupying a position. Leadership is being in a place of influence. It's not all about you being a minister of education. It's not you being a dean of a faculty. It's not you being the head, of a particular school, the principal of a particular school. No. So if we have inner peace, we can be able to translate this into humanity in the sense that any position you find yourself, especially position of influence, if you have inner peace, you have access to inner joy. You can begin to translate this into people. You understand that every opportunity you have is an opportunity to influence people for positivity, to influence people. Let me give a practical example. In a faculty, somebody, a leader or a faculty head that have inner peace, that have joy,
Fadare
when allocating,
I'll come back to you once again.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Okay.
So moving ahead with the discussion and taking it to Dr. Murarilal Gaurji. So for you, we are keeping that same question as to what key action should be prioritized to ensure effective implementation of SDGs at the root level in communities.
Thank you. Am I audible properly?
Yes, sir. Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Vanchana. I am last. Last is considered as a list, but I will try to make it as a feast. So, let me come to Professor Sudipta. He talked about complex versus simple. Model, you talked about models. So, I am modeling the nature since 1980, 40 years. Rainfall runoff modeling and kinematic wave dynamic, everything I'm doing climatic modeling. My final version is that complex models gives equally bad answers what a simple model give, but at a higher cost. Higher cost in terms of energy and time. So we have to seek some simple solutions. Is it? This is said by Einstein also, and there's a theory of conservation of mass, conservation of energy, or conservation of knowledge. Knowledge you cannot add one drop, you cannot delete one drop. It's only action here and there, sphere, earth, sea, and everywhere. So my suggestion for this from this conference is that please do not make compartments of the SDGs. These 17 compartments must be only 1, 2, or 3 only. There is a very close nexus. Every compartment has very close connectivity. You make them a nexus. Okay. Then second point, I was debated in the morning that individual cannot do. Only individual can do. Example I'm giving you, when you go to airport, you will find now a sensor-based water supply in the pipes. In house now sensor-based pipe is there. In roofs now solar is there. You make your roof, your room SDG adaptable. Your children must use the water tap for lesser duration, electric bulb for lesser duration. This is SDG. Everybody can contribute in this way. So we have to teach this thing from childhood up to the end, how to make sustainable development goals. These are the real roots. Come to roots. If you want to analyze a tree, first you analyze its roots. What is the root? So this is my message. And then last is the measurement to management. Please try to measure what you are doing. How much calories I have burned today in my life? how much water I have lost today, how much walking I have done, how much extra food I have taken, how much needless I have talked, how much needless I have slept. These all are SDG goals, and SDGs are there. And lastly, coming to the total conference, let me summarize it. Introductory, grassroots, we must focus on grassroots to achieve the SDG. We must align our local actions with the global goals, not the global actions with the local goals. And then what are the challenges? Three most important challenges are there: low awareness, low capacity, resource scarcity, and persistent inequalities. We have to work on this. Let us come to the prospects. What are the prospects? We have two big prospects. One is localized, culturally relevant solutions, and then community-driven, inclusive development. Include the community, not the government or people. Community-driven, self-help, group-driven. And last, the opportunities are there. We have a good amount of technology. Smart technology is there. Public-private partnership and global funding. Fund must flow from one country to another country. It's not remain confined within country. Now whole village is a village. Whole globe is a village. The fund of India can go to Africa. Fund of US can come to the Nigeria. We must have very big flow of the fund across the nation if you want SDG at global scale. And then innovative approaches are there. And then policy must be tailored as per the local need. Come to the grassroots, measure the problem, and then decide the solution. Involve some thinkers in policy making in the kitchen of the ministers. People who can think must sit in the kitchen of the ministers, so good policy can be brought out. And global support must be there. And now call for action is that we must be inclusive in partnerships. Don't hate each other. Everybody can join hand together. Let us work together and then empower the communities. And final words are that if we want success by 2030, please visit your roots. Final word. Please visit your roots and set your vision accordingly. Thank you very much. These are the inputs from me.
Ji. So going from local to global is the strategy. Instead of being global back to local, working at the community level. We have Sri Vidya ji also with us over here. Welcome Sri Vidya ji. And putting forth this little question to you, that when implementing SDG strategies, how can we identify and address the root causes of the issues like poverty, inequality, climate change, which is pertinent everywhere?
Sure. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. As we are all policymakers who are involved in this discussion, I would like to take it from the management role as such, whether it is the government or it is with the education institution. So they play a very crucial role in implementing these universal human values in the systems. And what they should really do is that develop a strategic plan to identify exactly where the crisis is. As my previous speaker was mentioning, go to the roots and find out exactly the route map and develop a roadmap such that we will be able to do it. For this, we need to first develop a strategic plan where we must create a comprehensive plan integrating the UHV values into the curriculum and overall institutional culture and the communal feedback or the framework. So when we do this, the second step is that when we do this, fostering collaboration, that comes as the major requisite in this. So we need to collaborate and encourage interdepartmental collaboration to embed these values across the various subjects, culture, and the activities which are involved in it. So develop a strategic plan, then foster collaboration, then taking it further, who is going to do these things exactly? Then that becomes a third threat. When we can have a plan, we can have a collaboration, that the third threat is how we are going to do this, who is going to do this. So in that need, what is the requisite which is there is that the training, choose the educators or choose the voice makers who can demonstrate empathy, enthusiasm, and the willingness to relearn, unlearn and relearn, and learn and provide an appropriate training, including integrating our UHV principles that we are talking about pertaining to the local community requirements and the parameters which are involved in it. So when we do this, when we develop a plan, when we foster collaboration, when we do the training, what is the next is that how to take it further. The third threat is that to revamp the policies, the existing policies which are involved in it. So implementing policies that will promote a value-based education in the framework which will which will outline the expectations for the faculty and the students and the other stakeholders. It is not only the faculty, it is not only the learners who are involved, every single person who is involved in this community, in this process as stakeholders, they all should be included. So it becomes a creative, inclusive framework which will facilitate all the resources and the necessary resources, including technology, including data handling, including the expectations, the parameters or standard expectations that we are talking about. So all these things will be related to the UHP values that we are saying. Then when we do this implementation process, what is next which has to come in vogue is that the threat is that how to monitor. Okay, we are doing the training, we are doing the implementation. Now, how to monitor, how to gauge our results? Is that the monitor and the evaluation process should be established with the metrics which are involved in it to gauge the success of the UHV implementation. Here comes the data. Here comes the data handling as a main crucial thing. So, conducting regular assessment value. How is it successful? Is it not successful? If it's not successful, what are things that we need to amend with? So in this way that if we promote a holistic UHV value, I think we will be able to do the needful. Thank you so much, ma'am. Sorry, I've taken a little extra.
Nice, Srividyaji. You talked about fostering collaboration. Country is not competing with each other, but coming together, collaborating, proper fund utilization at all levels.
No.
I think someone's mic is unmuted.
Vanchana ji, I was
Namaste, Sunil sir. We were waiting for you. We would just
I
hear.
was to be a panelist. My camera is not coming on.
Your
So
camera
can I
is
speak without the camera?
sir, you have to just switch on your video.
No, I'm trying, but it's not working. Yeah. Now host has allowed. So anyway, so if you permit, I would just like to add my
Sir,
small.
let me just put a word regarding you to all our panelists over here. Dr. Sunil Kumar Gulati ji is an IAS officer retired and Chief Secretary in Haryana government. At the level of policy making, he has been working throughout. So let me put that question also once again for you to reflect on, and we would like to hear from you, sir. We were waiting for you throughout. So we are trying to look at how to identify and address the root causes of the issues like poverty, inequality, climate change when we are implementing SDG strategies. So would you like to reflect on this? The role at the level of policy making, since you have been one of the policy makers.
Yes. So without my video coming on, I'll just continue telling. See, basic thing which I have observed in 37 years of being in service. The good thing about SDG is that it gives you measurable KPIs, right? So key performance indicators, it gives you measurable indicators regarding the various development goals. So that is a good thing. But on the other side, when we look at the bureaucracy, right up to the cutting edge level, I don't think more than 1% of the bureaucrats actually know precisely what the SDGs are and what are the metrics to measure the performance. So what they are doing, what the schemes are being implemented. That there is no doubt. But when we come to the cutting edge people, they are not aware of the SDGs, that philosophy behind it, the thought behind it. Basically, to most of bureaucracy, what comes up on your table, that you dispose of that day. That kind of approach is much more there. So if we really want SDGs to happen and implement them, then I think we have to train and retrain and talk again and again to these people. These people in the bureaucracy are not only the influencers, they are the role models also, and they are the ones who can actually implement also. That there is no doubt. But somehow that 2 and 2 must be 4, that has not been put in place. So a lot of work is happening. but the dots are not adding on to what we want to achieve. And that's why almost 75 years have gone by and still we have missed quite a few things which were doable. So that is my humble submission, that we should very seriously talk to the administration at the cutting edge level, then the level just above that, then the level above that, at least 4-5 levels, right up to the policymakers. They must very clearly understand what are the SDGs, how to go about implementing them, and then align what they are already doing, what policies they are already implementing, align them with the final goals of the SDGs. Once we are able to do that, then I'm quite confident that we will be able to deliver. We will be able to deliver and achieve the SDGs. But unless until we align these people who are actually doing the work, we will not be able to achieve the SDGs. So that is my small input. Because I have repeatedly talked to my colleagues, juniors, everybody. Maybe at best 5% can name even 3 SDGs. So there is a gap there.
So coming back to education, the holistic perspective, which has to be ensured from the very beginning. That's what you are trying to highlight, that people do miss. And while sitting at the level of policy making, they simply keep passing on the things here and there. This is what you are trying to highlight. So
yeah, not just policy making, while implementation also. So we should be very clear that this we do, then this will be the outcome. The outcome which is there, how is the performance of a bureaucrat measured? It is measured by the annual confidential report which is written. Now that is written on totally different parameters. The SDG parameters don't come in. The SDG matrices, the matrices must come in. Once those points which are there in SDG, if they come in, then the whole performance will change completely. That gap is still not being fulfilled. So that is what I feel, that we should start insisting that while writing the annual confidential report, annual performance of the bureaucrats, the SDGs will be the benchmark. Once we do that, things will immediately change. That is my suggestion.
Yeah, madam, one point I like to add here, Sunil ji ki report. The report from Sunil ji is very much, I strongly support it. This one data of last week, where it is indicated that the whole world is spending $1 billion for per year. I'm saying per year, $1 billion is being spent to reskill the policy implementer and policy making people. So this is really a very sensitive issue, and I should really thanks Sunil Kumarji, who has such inclination towards thinking the guts of the problem. Thank you very much. This is what adding from me.
In fact, what we can collect together is that innovative approaches need to be understood thoroughly to deal with this. Just by taking the current approach, we are not reaching anywhere. That's what every one of us is able to make out. So with this, maybe I'll seek concluding remarks from each of our panelists, one after the other, that what innovative approach have been successful or can be successful in implementing SDGs at the grassroots levels, and how can we really scale. And very quickly, because of the time constraint, we'll just try to hear concluding remarks from each of our panelists, starting from Rania ji.
Yes. So developing strategies now in order to tackle these inequalities and advance the Sustainable Development Goals, especially at the policy maker level, requires a comprehensive cross-sectoral approach that aligns national policies with global goals while addressing local needs. We need an integrated and inclusive approach also that addresses the root causes of disparities in areas such as education or healthcare or income or gender, access to resources, because inequalities are cross-cutting issues that impact almost every SDG. So strategies need to be systemic, comprehensive, and designed to create lasting change. So first, we need to adopt an intersection inclusive approach. That means we need to adopt a intersectional lens, recognizing equality multidimensional, and adopting inclusivity in policy design ensure that marginalized and vulnerable communities are included in the planning and the decision-making, implementation of policies, to ensure the universal access to services and, of course, strengthen social protection systems. We need more comprehensive social protection, more targeted support for vulnerable groups, incorporate SDG, I forgot to mention, into national policy frameworks. So SDG integration into national development plans should be ensured, and of course, a separate enact laws, we could say, legislation that address specific SDGs, such as those related to gender equality, for example, climate action or decent water, etc. In any case, adopt an equity with focused and rights-based approach. So address the root cause of inequality, align policymaking with a rights-based approach, ensuring that all citizens have access to their basic human rights, promote inclusive economic growth, of course, foster innovation at the same time, and digital inclusion. All these strategies have to do with how we, at the same time, we try to monitor and, of course, track cultural shift. Social norms is important because promoting sustainable lifestyles means encouraging cultural shift towards minimalism, towards mindfulness, towards responsible consumption. And this involves always changing social norms so that environmentally, for example, conscious behavior becomes the default. Thank you.
Nice. Moving to Sudipta ji, your concluding remarks to innovative strategies for implementation.
Yeah, at first I must admit that to be simple is the most difficult thing. E is equal to mc square is the equation that time Nobel committee couldn't understand. He was not given Nobel award for that. We are simple people, that's why we write equations after equations for getting PhD degree. Anyway, so coming down to the policy issues, I just want to mention that this must be a top-down policy. It cannot be a bottom-up, because the overall goal with respect to the global goal must be satisfied from the top-down approach at the central level. But obviously there must be a definite target. That means to what extent do you want to achieve in each step. Everything cannot be done in a single step. And there must be some key performance indicator for evaluating them in the multi-level governance system, so that there may be some assessment at the central level, at the state level, district, panchayat, every level. But obviously, unless there is a target, we cannot assess the KPI also of each of these performance. And collaboration is undoubtedly a very important aspect, because every country has got their own context. We can learn from collaboration. In fact, from our collaborations with advanced countries and even underdeveloped countries, we have learned a lot of things with respect to overall objective of the sustainable goal. And unless with respect to our country, we understand our priority context, we have to. If we want to, everybody can feel doing something is contributing to the sustainability, and it can. But unless the country has a definite target of which should be the priority according to the context of that particular country, we may not be able to achieve that contribution incremental reaching to that. We should not target to satisfying all the sustainable development objective in a single go or in a comprehensive plan. But the target must be there at the central level with a definite policy, top-down policy. Thank you.
Ji. If Pankaj Kumar Mishra ji is here, I think he got disconnected suddenly. So moving to Sri Vidya ji, quickly your comments on innovative strategies for implementation.
Thank you, Vandana ji. I would like to represent myself as an ambassador, which is my role, and I take privilege of establishing it here. So when we talk about one innovative solution country-wise, is that basically we should have a social commitment supported by a universal social contract, which is amendable according to the country or the nation which is involved in it. So when we do this, it's the overture of the reformatory reforms and strategies in the field of education, which will envision the post headway towards the sustainable future. So this social contract that each country or the nation is going to have will reinforce education as a public endeavor, which is with a shared commitment as one of its important human rights and as one of the responsibilities of all the states and the citizens who are involved in it. In turn, it will educate the social contract which each and every citizen is going to sign on. It will educate the human rights and their advancement. Say, for example, in simple words, if you want me to be very simple to the ground level, in India, it can be always related to the Aadhaar card, which is there. So if you want to really secure your Aadhaar card, you should really pass this test, or it's a minimal test that you will know about it. So when this guide is going to propose the ways to realize a social contract that will advance the right to education and strengthen the education as a policy, as a common good, and the collective endeavor that will augment the human capacity to care and cooperate. So the guiding principles will derive from the well-established scientific knowledge and the education which can be done through the research and the reflection of the local community, which we are talking about, through the education institutions and the other government authorities, other government entities who are involved in it. As because why am I targeting? Because education is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world. And education makes it people to lead the difficulties to dive through and easy to govern and impossible to enslave. So it's a passport to the future for tomorrow for those who belongs to prepare it for today. Thank you so much.
Gee, so a lot of food for thought and working for that is needed. Nice. Moving with Dr. Fedare, quickly your concluding remarks with the time limitations, if you want to put forth, regarding the innovative approaches for implementation of SDGs. Are we able to reach you, Dr. Fedare? Or maybe we can hear from quickly Sunil Kumarji, some innovative approach you would like to highlight?
Yes, what I would like to say is that we should insist that the political parties in their election manifesto, they must write clearly that which all SDGs they are wanting to address and from where they will take the country where. So exactly measurably they should tell what is going to happen. Because just giving freebies is not the way to win elections. But that is what is happening. So the KPIs can come. For the entire government, the KPIs can come from the SDGs. And in the election manifesto, that question can be asked. The election watch and all these groups should start asking this question, that which SDGs you want to address and how much you will move in your 5 years, from which point you will move to which point. That will make a huge difference. The mindsets will change, the thinking will change, the outcomes will change. That's what I feel.
Gee. So nice that we all are putting forth our innovative strategies, innovative approaches. Quickly going to Murari Lalji, very quickly from you.
Yeah, I will say the time. Sustainability and SDG should not be taken as a goal. They are the currency of future. Number two, we should detect our roots. Our roots lies in our rooms, our roofs, our streets, our homes. Try to conserve the natural resources, whatever way you like. As you are conserving the time here by putting the clock, this is also sustainability, isn't it? And then every antivirus comes with a virus as an annexer. So every problem comes with a solution, and every solution comes with a problem. Bigger the problem, bigger the solutions, and bigger the solutions, bigger the problem. So please be positive. We can handle it. No need to afraid. Floods are damaging attitude, but I consider them as a positive feature. Flood also have some good features. They bring the silt from rivers to the fields. They put some nutritional silt in the farmer's field. So take it as positively. These are the nature. Nature can never have a tendency to harm anybody. You respect the nature, understand the nature, and behave properly with the nature. Nature will never put you in any harmless condition. So be positive, work hard, have a team, connects, good connects are there, share the knowledge, because knowledge, water, and wisdom, they must flow. Every part of the world, whatever I know must flow. So share the knowledge, share the wisdom, and this is the Mool Mantra. And that's why just measure how much you have conserved, how much you have today on this particular date, how much I have contributed for the conservation of natural resources, energy, water, food, whatever it is. That is your contribution to the SDG, and then SDG will be okay. Okay, so this is the way we have to be very much positive, united, work like a honeybee structure. Honeys are moving around the world and bringing to common point, create the honey. So we have to create the honey. That is the success of the SDG. Thank you very much.
Nice. And now going to Gopal Babuji. We started with UHV perspective, and we want to take that as the end of this discussion. Concluding remarks from Gopal Babuji regarding what innovative approaches have been successful or can be successful in implementing SDGs at the grassroots.
Yes, Vanchana ji. So 2 lines I want to add here, keeping time and the focus. Number 1 is, first we must understand what is sustainability at fundamental level. People want sustainability of their power. People want sustainability of money. People want sustainability of their greed. They are not able to understand what is sustainability and why we want sustainability. So this question should be addressed at priority level. Number 2, you talked about these approaches. So as other panelists said, be a simple, be a complex. Don't be a complex, don't be simple, be a natural, as nature is natural. So if we are natural, naturally sustainability will be achieved. Last line I would like to say here, suppose a student is getting failed in his exam, suppose class 8th exam again and again. Now we are setting goal. Now your life goal is to cross the 8th exam. So this cannot be our goal. The SDG cannot be our goal because SDGs are our failure of a lifestyle. So we need to focus on understanding that can ensure lifestyle. For that we need to be in a natural manner. Then sustainability can be achieved by itself. Thank you very much.
Nice that we had such a rigorous discussion on implementation strategies, and we are trying to address everything at the root. I hope our panelists' discussion has motivated all over here to continue further work. In fact, with this forum, I would like to invite all our esteemed panelists to be part of the online workshops and the offline workshops of UHV, which are going on, so that they can have a more broader and deeper idea of the entire concept which we have tried to put forth. And over here for our panelists and attendees, there is this little poll which we want you to reflect on. So I would request all our esteemed panelists and the attendees to please reflect on these 2 polls which we are launching. We want to continue further discussion, but time is of course the limitation, and there's a lot we need to work together. I request all our panelists to be in touch and keep working together. This collaboration that we are talking about can go to long heights, long stretches, only when we continue it, which means we have this follow-up coming up. Without that, it will not be possible. We don't want to leave it as just one panel discussion and done with it. We want to stay connected and carry forward this, and I hope this will continue. Ji Sri Vidya ji, quickly you want to say something?
Yeah, I conduct G20 sessions, online sessions. That's how I know Dr. Ishrat. So as you said, like coming together is a beginning, staying together is a process, working together is success. So I would like to have this enrichment, this crest of the panel in my G20 session, my forthcoming session. I would like to take Dr. Ishrat's help for that. And I would like to have you all as a guest member who can come and who can come as keynote speakers to deliver your speeches in my G20 sessions.
True.
Thank you so much.
We'll be connecting and we'll be approaching each other for collaborative works and moving ahead. I hope all are responding to this poll. There will be one more poll for all our panelists and attendees. So I hope you're responding to this. Another poll is also there.
We haven't got the poll questions.
Yeah, that's not for the panelists they're mentioning. Yeah, now
it is for the delegates.
It's for the delegates, yeah.
So while you're responding to this poll, we would now like to conclude our discussions, and I would now request Geeta Didi to take up this responsibility, the responsibility of calling it a day for this panel discussion and moving ahead with closing ceremony, which will start from 1 a.m. So over to you, Geeta Didi.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vanchanaji. So before concluding, I think in a nutshell, the final conversation that we had was very important. Some 4 or 5 very important points came up as a concluding remark. That SDGs are a result of our failures of lifestyle. I think that was a punchline. Why do we look at it as a goal? We'll have to figure out other mechanisms of achieving it. And then, so sustainability has to be understood, first of all, properly. Other thing was strategies, comprehensive strategies to be built and networks to be created. So that is one very important thing. Collaboration is very important, and prioritizing important with effective targets, social commitments to be made, and cross-sectional approach required for achieving SDG. So many important points have come into this discussion, and we're going to put it all together and share it, I think, with the larger group. So thank you very much, all the esteemed panelists who have made this discussion so enriching and fulfilling to all of us. Thank you, Vanchanaji, for the wonderful moderation, and I think bringing up such relevant questions. I thank you one and all for this wonderful participation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll request all our panelists to switch on their cameras, the team members also, so that we can have a photograph, and we'll put that in the group also. So requesting the tech team for a complete panel display.
I hope these photos will be posted in the group also. Huh?
Yes, sure. Can we have that complete panel photograph? If we can be rightly pinned together.
Not all are pinned.
Request tech team also to switch on their cameras.
Ji.
Bhagyashali ji, Parikshit ji, Devesh ji.
They have been consistently supporting us to carry forward this discussion. Can we have all together? So that we can have a photograph. Will somebody do that from the tech team? Am I reaching to the tech team?
Yes, Didi, I had taken.
Ji, you have taken the photograph? Okay, so we'll put it in the group of the complete panel.
Yes, Didi.
So now we can thank each other and move ahead with more collaborations in times to come. We'll stay connected and we'll keep putting the relevant information. The proceedings of the conference will reach you very soon. So namaste everyone.
Namaste.
Thank you so much.
We are on
Namaste. Namaste to all.
with respect to time. We are very sustainable with respect to time. We have tried to take care of that.
I must say this conference is a sustainable conference. Best sustainable conference must be rated at the end. Congratulations.
Namaste everyone.
And any meeting is a place where minutes are kept but hours are lost.